It started the day Tamale locked Mr. Nonso in the classroom. No one saw how it happened. One moment, he was there, yelling at her, and the next, the heavy wooden door slammed shut with a force that shook the windows. Nobody touched it. Nobody moved. But we all knew Tamale had something to do with it. Tamale wasn't like other girls. She came from a small village, a place so far from the city that most of us had never even heard of it. She always kept to herself, sitting quietly at the back of the classroom, her big brown eyes taking in everything but revealing nothing. There was something about her that made people uneasy. Maybe it was the way she seemed to know things without anyone telling her. Or maybe it was the way she never flinched, even when Mr. Nonso screamed at her. Mr. Nonso was the kind of teacher everyone feared. He had this way of looking at you that made your stomach churn. His punishments were cruel, and his words were sharper than any slap. He seemed to enjoy picking on Tamale, always finding reasons to call her out in class. "You think you're special because you're from the village?" he sneered one day. "Let me show you what life in the city is really like." Tamale didn't respond. She never did, but that only made him angrier. Things got worse when he started giving her extra chores after school. He made her clean the blackboards, sweep the floors, and carry heavy books to the staff room. She did it all without a word of complaint. But there was a quiet defiance in her eyes, like she was just waiting for the right moment. That moment came on a Thursday afternoon. The classroom was empty except for a few of us who had stayed back to finish our homework. Mr. Nonso had called Tamale to the front of the room, accusing her of stealing a piece of chalk. "Admit it," he bellowed, slamming his hand on the desk. Tamale just stared at him, her face calm, her hands folded neatly in front of her. And then it happened. The lights flickered, and a cold wind swept through the room, even though all the windows were closed. Mr. Nonso's face twisted in confusion as the door slammed shut behind him. He ran to open it, but it wouldn't budge. His yells for help echoed through the room, but no one came. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on all of us. Tamale stood there, watching him struggle. Her lips didn't move, but I swear I heard her voice in my head. "He won't hurt anyone anymore." When the door finally opened, Mr. Nonso stumbled out, his face pale and his eyes wide with terror. He didn't say a word to anyone. The next day, he didn't show up to school. By the end of the week, we heard he had resigned. None of us ever spoke about what happened that day, but we all knew. Tamale wasn't just a quiet girl from the village. She carried the legacy of her grandmother, a mysterious woman known in their village for her uncanny abilities. On Tamale's 12th birthday, her grandmother had pressed an old, smooth stone into her palm and whispered, "This will protect you, but only if you're brave enough to use it." At the time, Tamale didn't understand what those words meant, but she carried the stone with her always. Now, standing in the aftermath of what happened to Mr. Nonso, she understood. The power wasn't just in the stone, it was in her. And when she needed it most, she had called on it, not for revenge, but for survival. After that, no one dared to mess with Tamale. Some people avoided her, whispering rumors about witches and curses. But I've always thought she wasn't evil. She just did what she had to do to survive.